Morning everyone. I don't often do videos of a daytime because of the way things are in the house. But this morning I'm out in the loft. It's Sunday morning, the 16th of December. And I have a couple of things to talk about. And the first one is the breathing techniques that I have been, I suppose, promoting over the last couple of videos. And the first one actually, caused a lot of controversy, and there was agreements and disagreements, and that's fine, that's healthy in the sport. And it got me to thinking about practical examples of where this has happened, or where I have been successful in using my breathing techniques to actually produce winners. Now, so I actually do have a very, very practical example on the sprint road in the South Road Fair. So, about 11 years ago, my young lady, my daughter, she's 14, about 12 years actually, she's 2 or 3 she was. We were doing nothing one Sunday afternoon, and I went down to the Dublin Home Club. There was a pigeon auction on from Luella Pigeon World. And I had nothing else to do, so I went there for a couple of hours, and I was late to the auction. And when I arrived at the auction, lot 8 or 9 was up, and it was a lovely little red-pied hen out of Luella. And if I remember rightly, I think she was a Staffan Reese. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you, it's that long ago, right? So I went in, and my little girl Sue said, "Daddy, that's a lovely bird in the box." So I bid on her, and I bought her for, I think it was €50 or €60. This was when I was trying to sprint, and I will say trying to sprint, because I've only ever gotten positions, club positions with my sprint when I was sprinting. Anyway, neither here nor there. So anyway, I bought this pigeon, I brought it home. And I looked at the pedigree, and we all know about Luella Pigeon World. They're very, very heavily inbred pet birds, especially when you go to the grandchild stage or great-grandchild stage of the original performance pigeons. And we all talk about paper pigeons not worth their salt, or not worth their money, or whatever you want to call it. Neither here nor there. So anyway, I took this pigeon home, and I had a couple of good grandchildren, again, of performance pigeons in the loft at the time that I had bought for stock myself. So I decided to pair this hen to a blue cock at the time, who was also a Staffan Reese, or the same line, whatever they happened to be, but I'm just going to say Staffan Reese at the time. And they produced some lovely pigeons, but my time at the time, I was already into this breeding line and breeding family and trying to create something from scratch. So what I did was I took the hen, I bred a few youngsters, and it just happened that a friend of mine was looking for young birds. I'll go back. The hen herself was inbred, and I paired her to this cock who would be unrelated. So therefore, he is an outcross to her. Okay? So because I was trying to create this family and use these breeding techniques, and I liked the hen, I decided to try create a line around her. So she's already a very inbred hen, and what I did was I took one of her sons, who happened to be a red-pied at the time, and I paired him back to his mother. Okay? And the resulting young birds then happened to be, from blue because of the grandfather, right the way through to the pieds, the mealy pieds. A nice coloured bird. I produced quite a few of them. And that was over 1 year, so that was the first year. And then the decision I made at the time then was a friend of mine was looking for a pair of birds just to keep the kids happy. So I gave them a pair out of the nest, 2 lovely colours, a mealy pied and a red pied, and I gave them to them. And they kept the birds for about 6 months, and then they just, they weren't really interested, the kids weren't. So I said, that's grand, I'll take them back. So over the winter I put them in the stock section with the aviary there so they could see it, and let them at it. And then I decided I'd try to break the red pied, but I'd hold the mealy pied for stock because I just liked the type of bird he was. Okay? So I liked the type of bird he was. And this was before I got out of the sprint board, before I stopped trying to sprint race. Okay? So, lo and behold, then a cousin of mine, Christopher Gannon, now at Crumlin, lands in the loft one day, we're just having a yak, and he took a fancy to this mealy pied, and I said, "Here, take him with you. He's very inbred. I hope he does well for you." And Christopher and his father really are very, very good racers over there in Crumlin, and at the time we're winning out our skin. Okay? So I gave Christopher this cock, very, very inbred. Remember this, very inbred. So this inbred technique does work. So being the cock is inbred, although he's inbred and he's lying down from the hen, so the hen happens to be, the hen who's inbred, who's out of a father not made herself, has now been paired to her son. So the resulting children, the hen herself is mother and grandmother. mother on one side, grandmother on the other side. Okay, so you get where I'm going with the techniques that I've always talked about breeding. Now, so I gave Christopher over this pigeon. I would say it must be 8 or 9 years ago now. 8 years ago anyway, probably, because I'm on the still around 3 or 4 years. Yeah, it'd be about 8 or 9 years ago. 9 years ago, the cock. So Christopher took that cock, and every year, that pigeon, that cock himself, has produced winners. Every year that he's had him. No matter what hen he's put him to, he has produced winners. Not in every nest, but with every hen he's been paired to, he has produced winners. Okay? So the technique does work. He was a very inbred cock, paired to Christopher's hens. He's coming to and that becomes an outcross to an inbred lion. The children become outcrosses, back to hybrid vigor, boom. Christopher breeds winners every year since, and still is. Christopher still has this cock. He's actually going to put a picture of the cock underneath this video when it's up. So every year he breeds winners off this cock. And not only that now, he doesn't only breed winners in the club, he breeds winners, boards that, although they win the club, they get well up in the fed. He bred a pigeon out of the cock, gave them to somebody, and was third club in the fed. I think he said I was Skibbereen. I was only talking to him a few minutes ago. I was Skibbereen, I think he said it was. Christopher, correct me what third fed race that board was from, okay? And then the children of this cock are still breeding boards that are also coming up. And having a conversation with Christopher, this one cock is responsible for 8 forced clubs. Those 8 forced clubs would have been carried into the fed, and also his grandchildren are also 8 forced, about 8 forced, he said, roughly 8 forced. Okay, so the technique of line breeding and inbreeding does work. That's a very practical example of something I have been involved in that has done. Now, without you being able to race boards well, you know, a good man with good pigeons will race exceptionally well. A very good pigeon fancier with exceptional boards will race exceptionally well. But a poor pigeon fancier, a pigeon keeper, a pigeon lover with exceptional boards will not do very well. And I may well be one of those. You know, I'm not saying anything. I've never won a race in my life, so I'm not going to stand here and say I did. I never have, and I've never, ever said I have. But the techniques and the breeding systems I use are very valid. Very, very valid, because all the big name fanciers who win week in, week out use these techniques. As well as here in Ireland, it's more outcrossing that we do here in Ireland, and that's fine, that works as well. Okay? But the inbreeding brings in the quality genes and what you're looking for. So what it proves is that hen originally that I started with, who became mother and grandmother to this mealy cock, she then became grandmother to winning pigeons. Okay? It does work. And it does work. Have a go, have a bit of patience, try it out. The worst thing that's going to happen is it's not going to work. But if you start with exceptional pigeons as a base and you work from them, the only problem then is you as a fancier, and that includes me as a fancier. If I have started with pigeons of a line of boards that are winning hand over fist, and I can't get them to win or do right or do what I want them to do, then I'm going to look at me first as a fancier and not blame the boards. If I can get everything right and do everything by the boards right and help them to do what I want them to do, then I'll consider blaming the boards. But until then, it's always on the fancier. And the second part of this is, the further out you go with pigeons, the more it's reliant on the pigeon. Sprint racing is more fancier orientated, in my opinion. It's more what the fancier does. And the fancier is there to bring out the pigeons, to condition the pigeons, to bring them home. Okay, but sprint racing for me is, you know, I'd say 70% fancier, 80% fancier, 20-30% board. The further out you go, you know, it's more board. And the reason for that is, statistically, you'll get 1,000 boards will do 100 miles. You'll get 700 boards will do 200 miles. From that 700, you'll get 500 boards will do 300 miles. And the further out you go, the less boards you get. Meaning that it's more on the board rather than on the fancier. So it's still up to the fancier to condition the pigeons to do those distances correctly. But I'm sure you get where I'm going with that. We all know that the further out you go, the more difficult it becomes, because it becomes more on the board than on the fancier. So I'll go back to where I started with today. Okay, my view is inbreeding and line breeding works. Some of the questions out there was, what have I done with this? Well, I've just given a very practical example of what I have done with it in the sprint arena. And when it comes to the distance arena, the breeding techniques I use have already been responsible for Cock to Fly 540 miles in the UK. They've already been responsible for boards that are breeding pigeons to win sprint races here in Ireland. And what was the other ones there? They've produced one lap race winner, great, and then they've also produced, there was one more I wanted to mention, a 52nd IHU NFC Talbany. So the breeding techniques I use work, and I am just offering them out there for everybody to use. Why not? Like, the techniques are there, they're not my techniques. They're techniques I found other people use that have been successful with them, how they inbreed and inbreed them, and I just use them. And now I hope somebody else uses them. Have a good morning.